How to use LinkedIn to bring in new revenue. And so this is the formula that anyone can implement to use LinkedIn as a powerhouse to bring in new revenue. My name is Chris Cozzolino, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Uptown Creation. We help B2B companies and sales teams use LinkedIn to bring in new revenue. And we've done this for thousands of companies. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing the ways that we've done that and how you can implement these strategies on your own and or hire somebody like us to do them for you if that's the route that you want to go. So let's jump right into kind of what we're going to be talking about today. And so this is the flywheel of how to create revenue using LinkedIn. Now, at a 10,000 foot view, LinkedIn is as powerful as it is because it's a social media platform, it's a direct outreach platform, and it's a paid media platform. We're going to be focused on the kind of more organic and direct outreach components, especially for the purposes of this video. But this flywheel gets more powerful as you continue to build your connection base, send messages, and nurture prospects with content and follow-up messages. And that inevitably is this flywheel that kind of adds upon itself. First and foremost, the kind of the currency of LinkedIn is going to be your first degree connection. So that is the most important piece of all of this, is finding the most active decision makers within your ideal customer profile or your ICP and connecting with those people on a regular basis on LinkedIn. You can send 200 connection requests each and every week, and you need to be maxing those out. That gets you to 800 connection requests per month, and you should see at least 250 to 300 new connections each and every month with perfect decision makers. Sending messages to those people, sharing content, and nurturing with follow-up messages is going to be kind of the long-term ways to make this work. And so there's 5 principles that we're going to be going over today. And that's going to be profile optimization, how to grow net new first degree connections and followers, sending messages to decision makers that they actually want to respond to, nurturing those prospects with content and follow-up messages, and then we'll touch on some of the more advanced techniques, really just talking about the high level of a LinkedIn Live, LinkedIn ads, and then in-mail messages. So there's in-depth tutorials and trainings on each and every one of these pieces. So the purpose of this video is really to give you that high-level overview, and I highly encourage you to watch this video through. If you get any value from it, please consider subscribing to this channel or subscribing to our newsletter at uptown.com/newsletter. But watch this video kind of all the way through and then go into the deep dive of each of these pieces after the fact. And so without further ado, let's hop into it. So your LinkedIn profile is going to be, your business card on LinkedIn. It's going to be the thing that follows you everywhere you go. And with an unoptimized profile, you're really going to be doing yourself a disservice when it comes to everything else on LinkedIn. So whether you're commenting on somebody else's post, you're posting content yourself, or you're sending a connection request, an optimized profile is going to be what makes it so all of this ends up working. And for my purposes and the purposes of outreach specifically, I really only care about your profile picture and your headline, because those are the things that people see when they make the decision of whether to accept or reject a connection request. And so just to give you an idea, the screen that people see when you send a connection request to somebody is like this. You get the name, the profile picture, the headline, and then you can choose ignore or accept. And most people don't click past this. So you don't want a headline like I help clients do X, Y, and Z, because that's just a really salesy headline. So my advice is, first and foremost, having a profile picture that is a true headshot. You don't want it to be your full body because it can get really small. You can see over on the side here, these are pretty good ones. They're all kind of true headshots, but you can imagine that if somebody was just showing their entire body, it would be just such a small thing that nobody could even make out what that image is. And it's going to convert lower because a human face just makes people relate to you better. Now, the headline is what you have the most control over. I already alluded to it, but what you don't want is a headline like I help X people do Y thing. The reason you don't want that is because so many bots and automation have implemented that type of headline, people kind of get a bad taste in their mouth when they see that. Now, if you're going to just let your LinkedIn profile sit there, never do any direct outreach, never send connection requests, 1, you're probably not watching this video, but 2, go ahead and do more of an SEO type title. But for most people watching this, you want to send connection requests. You want to grow your network, and you want to ultimately book meetings and bring in revenue. And the way to do that is going to be having your job title kind of front and center not trying to stand out too much from the pack, just keeping it what it actually is. Then putting something that's professional about yourself. So I have kind of my professional identity here as LinkedIn-led outbound guerrilla marketer. And then I would encourage you to add something personal. So I have my Myers-Briggs personality type here as ENTP. You could put dog lover, you could put rollerblader fanatic, whatever is going to make it a little bit more human and easier to engage with. So once you have that profile optimized, at least from a headline and profile picture, now you're going to be ready to be able to grow those first degree connections. So actually sending out connection requests and targeting the most active people on LinkedIn. Now we have a whole process that we implement for our clients and we share on this YouTube channel. I encourage you to watch that entire process and build it out for yourself. But what it's going to stem around is, instead of focusing on everybody that has the right job title that you could do business with, it's going to be taking it a step further and focusing on those people that meet all your criteria, but have also posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. And the reason for that is those people are going to be the most active. They're checking their inbox on a daily basis instead of a monthly basis, and they're going to be faster to respond. The deal velocity is going to be a lot higher, and they're going to be a lot more likely to close into new revenue. Not all first degree connections are equal. And if you could choose between somebody that's going to check LinkedIn on a daily basis and somebody that's going to check it once a month, that person checking it on a daily basis gets 30x the chances to respond to your message. So it's really, really important that you focus on active people. And then sending 200 blank connection requests. That is the maximum that you can hit. Back in the day, you could get placed into LinkedIn jail. That's not a thing anymore. There's just a maximum limit that you can hit. And that limit, when you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, is 200 connection requests each and every week. And you need to be hitting that. It resets Sunday evening in US time. So that changes with daylight savings time, which is why I'm not giving an exact time. But just knowing that reset time, anytime before Sunday evening, you can get those 200 out for the week and not miss out. So going on to the messaging component. So once you make a new first degree connection, the next step inevitably is going to be do some sort of direct outreach. The reason we use LinkedIn over email or cold call is you get 100% deliverability. At least at this point in time, there is no spam filter on LinkedIn. And when we're matching it with these active people on LinkedIn, you can see 30 to 40% response rates on messages because you're targeting somebody that you know is active, and then you also know the message is getting into their inbox. Now, we have a ton of templates that kind of go over some of the best practices. I'll give like a sneak peek on this template pack. If you look at the link in the description or you sign up for our newsletter, this is the first thing that gets sent out to you. So this will show the initial message template, a case study follow-up message, a 2-word follow-up message, and then a 4th kind of breakup message that gets really, really high quality responses and ultimately books meetings with the lowest friction, but the highest quality leads. We don't want to book a bunch of networking calls. We want sales qualified leads, and that's what we're all about. We'd rather book fewer number of meetings, but each and every one of those be as close to sales qualified as possible versus booking double the meetings and having a bunch of networking calls and people that are kind of tire kickers. That's not what we're in the business of doing. So again, there's a whole nother YouTube video that goes over all of these message templates. I highly encourage you to check that out, but I wanted to just kind of preface that, and you can get that template below. Last but not least is going to be the content component of all of this. So nurturing prospects with content and follow-up messages. Because LinkedIn is a social media platform, leveraging that capability is imperative to make this work. Now, to be clear, you can do steps 1 through 3 on here and get really, really good results. Adding in this 4th step of content and follow-up messages is going to just exponentially make all of the hard work that you're already doing perform even better. And so now you have an optimized profile. You're sending 200 connection requests on a weekly basis. You're sending initial messages that are focused more on the problem that you help somebody solve than the solution you're trying to sell to them or networking. And then now you're going to start posting 3 to 5 times on the LinkedIn feed. Only 1% of LinkedIn users actually post content, which is such an insane metric. So to be in that top 1% of LinkedIn users, the bar is really, really low. So being able to take advantage of that and take advantage of the organic reach that you can get on LinkedIn is like Facebook in 2012. It's those early stages where you can actually post content and you don't need to pay to play, at least at this point in time. These posts should be focused on generating leads, not likes. So that means not posting viral content. It means posting things that are educational. Teach somebody your process that they could implement, similar to this video. And know that some people will go and do that. Others are going to want to just pay you for that advice, or they'll become a referral partner and be some of your biggest advocators in the world. So we have a whole video on content specifically and more to come on that. Last but not least, these follow-up messages. So you send an initial message and it doesn't book a meeting. Being able to follow up with somebody on a weekly basis for the first 30 days, so about 4 messages within the first month, is what we see work best. It's like that balance between getting enough volume out so you get to hit the people that are out of office and might not have seen your message, but you're also not sending so many that you're going to make people mad. And then from there, being able to follow up every quarter, so on a 90-day basis. And once you do this for 3 months, you'll have about 1,000 connections that now you can follow up with for as long as LinkedIn is a platform. And they're also going to see your content. 6 months, you'll have about 2,000 to 2,500, and that'll start growing exponentially, especially if you're posting content. Now, the final thing on here, I'm not going to dive that deep into, but it's going to be more of those advanced techniques. Once you have a connection base on LinkedIn, you can really take advantage of LinkedIn Lives, especially if you're already hosting webinars or your company is already hosting webinars. And the way that you can do that is by inviting 1,000 first-degree connections each and every week. So if you schedule something for 2 weeks out, you can invite 2,000 people to attend that. LinkedIn ads are going to be kind of the pay-to-play version and a great way to do retargeting. And then last but not least, in-mail messages are going to be the way that it's more like a cold email. It's more like a one-and-done message, even though I know most people rely on in-mail messages, which is wild, versus these first-degree messages that you can send for forever. In-mails are going to be a message that you can send once. If somebody doesn't respond, then you can't send another message and you don't really get anything out of that. They're never going to see your content, and it really is that one and done. But they're really effective for getting volume out, especially for people that don't accept your connection request. So hopefully this was a good overview of how you can use LinkedIn to generate new revenue. Again, each one of these kind of steps and processes has its own video that can be really helpful to do more of a deep dive into. But this is kind of the formula for how to use LinkedIn to bring in new revenue. And hopefully this was helpful. Feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. Check out our website at uptown.com and consider subscribing to this video if you've gotten any value from this or any of our previous content. Until next time.